to turn on this live stream. And I'm excited to have you all right here with us on ColumbusBlack.com. Countdown to Election Day. 69 is the number. 69 days to the election, y'all. Can y'all believe it? We have broken through a whole nother threshold, right? It was in the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, and now we are in the 60s officially. I'm excited to be here today. For those that don't know, ColumbusBlack.com has been around for 19 years now. We're excited to have this platform to be able to even have this discussion with amazing guests every single week leading up to Election Day. And every single time we do this, the goal of this is that we provide some level of knowledge and insight. As we said, the who's, the what's, the why, the when, the where, the hows, no cap. That means there's no lies, yo. This is the truth. These are facts that are shared on the show because we need to make sure information is shared with our community to have that knowledge, to know what needs to be done leading up to this election. We are not just focused on national, we're not just focused on state, but we are focused on local as well. And with that, I'm super excited to have our guest on the show today. She's not new to ColumbusBlack.com. She's not new to these live shows, and she's not new to you all. So our special guest, the Honorable Judge Terri Jamison, is with us tonight. Judge Jamison, how are you doing?
I am doing well, Kevin, and very happy to be here, and really honored to be a servant of the public here in Franklin County.
And we appreciate you for the work that you do and the service that you provide. So thank you so much. And I just want to personally thank you. Most of our guests, just like you, are extremely busy people, right? Y'all are doing a lot. So for you to join us this evening at 6:30 p.m. On a Tuesday evening, 69 days out, means a lot to us. So thank you for taking the time because we know you're extremely busy doing the work for the people. All right?
Thank you, Kevin.
You got it. So listen, we're going to start really easy, right? For those people who don't know you, where they should, but if they don't, I want you to have the opportunity to introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about yourself so that they know your background, okay? So they hear judge, but like, okay, judge of what? Judge since when? How did that happen? Feel free to introduce yourself to our audience so that they can learn a little bit more first.
Well, Kevin, you know I'm just a country girl from West Virginia.
Is that it?
Just a country girl from West Virginia, grew up in the coal fields and was a coal miner. So an associate member of the United Mine Workers of America, moved to Ohio. This is my 41st year in Columbus now. I've owned and operated an insurance agency, went to law school later in life, completed my Juris Doctor at Capital University, then went to work for the public defender for a short time, then went into private practice, owned and operated my own law firm, then was elected first time 2012 to the Domestic Relations and Juvenile Court, served there for 8.5 years. I was elected in 2020 to the 10th District Court of Appeals. I'm only the third Black individual to serve on that court in the history of Franklin County, joining Sister Judge Laurel Beatty Blunt, who was the first Black woman on the 10th District Court of Appeals. So been there now since July the 1st of 2021. In the appellate court, we hear all types of appeals from all of the trial courts, the administrative agencies, the Court of Claims, which is where you go to sue the state of Ohio. So I am also bivocational, serve as pastor of Divine Kingdom Builders at 201 Wilson Avenue, and love the Lord as well.
Amen.
And I think it gives me a greater insight and empathy in serving our people in the community.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for that introduction. And now I believe everybody understands why we had to have you on the show. You have played in so many roles and have worn so many different hats and are doing the work for the people on the front line. You understand, I would say, how important this election is to us. Like every election, they're important, but they keep saying this is the most consequential, right? So We appreciate it and all the work that you've done, and praise God for having you here with us today. All right. So, with that, listen, I had reached out to you to be on the show. And when I initially reached out to you, you had shared some excitement about being on the show, right? I want to ask you a simple and easy question. What excited you when you heard we were doing a countdown to Election Day 2024? Why did you think that was a really good thing and wanted to be on the show? What was exciting about that?
Well, what's exciting about it is that we are educating our own people. There is this philosophy that we just are sheep that go to the voting booth. And at this point, we have to be more aware of why we're voting, who we're voting for, and the impact that that vote will have upon our life beginning in January of 2025. And this is the most consequential election. And I think we've said that in the past, but the reason this one is different, democracy is really on the ballot. We have someone running for office that has told us that we will become a dictatorship if they are elected. So when you think about your choice, is it democracy or dictatorship? How do you want to live beginning in January 2025 and going forward? We have to be very concerned about the platforms of the men and women that are running for president. It's also consequential because for the first time, we have a major party nomination of a woman of color. We have a man of color as president, but we've never had the nomination of a woman of color. She was strategic. She was the deciding vote in bringing Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court. She's been instrumental as a tiebreaker in numerous pieces of legislation as the VP. And I think in some ways that has kept us from really knowing her as well because she was stuck in that position for so long during the presidency.
All right. Thank you for sharing why you were excited because you dropped some gems in the middle of every word that you stated. Thank you so much. So that those that did not know or understand why this is considered the most consequential, I think you just really broke that down for everyone. And you did it in a very simplistic way. So I want to thank you for that. And it's so historic as well, what you just shared. This is so historic, right? Beyond normal proportions for sure. So when you talk about, obviously we just tapped on the national piece, right? Like this is really important. But we've also, from some of the other guests that have been on our panel, there's been discussions about the importance at the state level. But then more importantly, even locally, and then there's been a lot spoken about the judges throughout the state of Ohio and how important the election is this particular year. Would you like to share any insights, thoughts, or wisdom, or things that people should be looking at as we're looking at the judges, obviously throughout the state and beyond, but then also at the state level? Any perspectives there?
I am so glad you brought that up because most of us don't pay attention to the judges. And it is too late when someone in your family or yourself is standing in front of the judge to decipher what they believe or whether or not they have empathy, whether or not they have punitive sentencing. Because unfortunately, criminal law is at the heart of many a Black family. As a criminal defense attorney, former, and a former public defender, knowing the venue, we call it knowing the venue that you're in, knowing the courtroom that you're in, is critical in making decisions and informing your client.
Okay.
We don't, in the county level, put party affiliation on judges, but on the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court level, we do. Legislature changed that in 2022. So that those two levels of judges will have a party designation beside their name. When you go to your county judges, however, they do not. So, you know, we can go and Google Franklin County Court of Common Pleas. You can pull up every name of every judge, and you can get an idea of what kind of programs they do in their court. It's a public courtroom. You can go and sit in the back of the courtroom anytime quietly, observe trials, observe what judges do, because we don't have a lot of information about the judges. And they are often the most critical positions to families in our county and across the state. I have had the privilege to sit at the Supreme Court, and one of the cases that we heard was to determine whether or not a judge should be disciplined. So we need to know the Supreme Court is where discipline is decided for judges and for lawyers. So the Supreme Court, there are 3 Supreme Court races this year. You can go to the Supreme Court website and find information about those justices that are running or potential justices that are running. But these are critical seats because they not only impact the discipline of the judges, they impact the continuing legal education. They decide whether or not you can get a judge if you make an affidavit of disqualification because you believe a judge is biased. The Chief Justice makes the decision of whether or not another judge gets appointed to your case. So there are a lot of things that happen with the judiciary outside of them ruling on your individual case.
Wow. You just dropped some serious gems. Listen, y'all, one of the things that we talk about on the show, for those that don't know, these are gem drops, right? That's knowledge being dropped. So I'm doing these gem drops. She's making me work out today. Is that when you hear something like this, you must share something like this. Do not get this knowledge and this information and watch this and say, oh, I didn't know that, and not share this with your network. Please, I need you all to do that. That's why we're doing this show, and we're having an amazing group of diverse panelists to join us for this type of knowledge. Okay, that's powerful. Please share it, y'all. All right. Whew. Judge Jamison, that was heavy. That was really deep and very, very important, obviously. Okay. So now, based off of your experience, I just want to switch gears a little bit. You've seen a number of elections. Things have changed. We have all kind of legislation and things that are being done and gerrymandering and all that. Can you share any tips or wisdom or thoughts around the election as it relates to people being registered, right? And then actually going to vote. So we want to open that door up for you.
Well, absolutely. Everyone needs to get registered. We do not have a law in Ohio that says when you get your driver's license that you are automatically registered to vote. We did see that there was recently 147,000 more individuals purged in the state of Ohio, which means that your name could possibly have been removed from the voting rolls. But you need to go online to your county board of elections and look to see, put in your name, your birthday, I think your street address. It'll tell you whether or not you are registered to vote in your county. If you have moved, you need to register or change your address. If you have been divorced or married or had any type of name change, you need to register and change your name for the next election. So we need to make sure that we're doing that. And also we need to look to be sure that if you are homeless, you can register to vote using the YMCA or the YWCA address so that you can get your voter registration done that way. If you do not have an ID, and we require an ID in the state of Ohio now, the legislation has changed. You cannot take a bill. You cannot take anything additional. It must be a state ID. So we want to make sure that you take that state ID. And if you don't have a state ID, there is a website that you can go to, and I am looking for the name right now. I had it.
She's dropping knowledge to y'all. Listen, while you're doing that, listen, she's breaking down facts and details to make sure we are all set up for success leading up to voting, right? So you got to make sure you double check you didn't get purged. Make sure, because it could have happened to you, right?
Could
If you
have
moved,
happened.
as she said, yeah, absolutely, 147,000 throughout the state. It's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
And
I'm sorry.
so
Keep going. I apologize.
if you don't have a state ID, you can go to voteriders.org and they will help you get a state ID. So we want to make sure that you can get a state ID for free.
So what is that website again? Is vote?
Voteriders.org.
Okay.
Put it in your
Okay.
chat. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Awesome. We're going to drop that in so everybody will have that. Voteriders.org, right? Okay. That's outstanding. Outstanding. So yeah,
So they
so
can assist you
just
with
keep going.
getting
Yes.
your state ID. You must have a valid state ID. It cannot be expired. It must be valid for them to accept it if you vote. Now, if you vote by mail, you vote with your last 4 digits of your social security number. So voting by mail might be a preference. Early voting is on your side. You can ask for an absentee ballot. You can put it in the envelope if you're worried that it won't get there in the mail. They always have a locked drop box at 1700 Morse Road here in Franklin County, where you can drop your ballot in. But it is critical that you vote this time. There are so many issues on the ballot that affect you at this level. You must vote.
So, Judge, I have a question for you. Are you aware of a way that someone can know like what's actually on the ballot? Like if someone was going to go and do research as to what they're going to be voting for and they wanted to go online and do their diligence in advance, how does someone go about that?
You go to your county website and you put in your name. Well, you might need your last name. You need your address for certain. When you put it in, it will give you a sample of who's on the ballot. Then you can look up the individuals that are on the ballot. So yeah, you can look that up early. Make sure you know who's on the ballot, who your choice is by the time you're ready to vote. I think early voting starts October
8th.
8th.
October 8th. Yes.
So Tuesday, October 8th is early voting will commence, and you need to have your choices ready.
Yes, indeed. So something that has been shared as a tip for everybody that missed the other shows so far, right? Which I invite you all to go back. You can find them on ColumbusBlack.com or on Facebook or YouTube, right? Under the Columbus Black handle. One of the things that was shared is preparation. Get ready. Who are you going to the polls with? Family members, friends, coworkers. What day are you going? She just mentioned it. Do your research. You can do this in advance. You should be doing this all right now, like getting ready, right? Don't wait. Do it now. Pick your date. They said pick your clothes. By the way, you cannot wear branded clothing. We learned that. You cannot wear branded clothing.
You cannot wear anything that endorses a candidate or a party.
Listen, facts, y'all. We said no cap. This is the truth.
The other thing that we can't do, if a candidate is on the ballot, they can't even give you a bottle of water. They can't give you a cookie. That's called electioneering. So, so that I know people said, well, why don't candidates have goodies at the early voting center? It's not allowed. It's a violation of the law. It's called electioneering. It is a felony. You can't do it.
Cannot do it. Listen, so don't go there expecting to get some water. You might as well take it. What they said, bring your own stuff with you, your
Now,
snacks.
if
Yeah,
somebody else comes and brings you water, that's fine. It just cannot
that's
be
fine.
someone that is on the ballot at that time.
Okay. So we could take enough water for our neighbors and our friends and other people in line to
As
share,
long as
but
you're
we
not a
can't.
candidate
As
on the
long as you're
ballot.
not a candidate. Okay, got it. All right, electioneering,
Now,
y'all, for
you
those
can't
that
in
didn't know.
Georgia, you cannot hand your neighbor water.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
really.
Okay. See, learn something. Another gem being dropped, right? Y'all didn't know about that one. All right. So as we switch gears again, because we only have a few more minutes before we get ready to wrap up, are there any, one of the things that we've learned is that a lot of people are recognizing how important the election is. And they're literally saying, we need to get out and do something. People need to do something about this. And it's like, people are. So, do you happen to be aware of any movements, any activations, any events where people, if they want to come out and support, or even if people want to volunteer to be a part of the election, right? My understanding is we need a lot of poll workers and other
Oh,
volunteers.
definitely, we need poll workers. And you can
Yeah.
do that application also online at your county
Okay.
of elections. So definitely get online. They do pay you some sort of stipend. They train
Mm-hmm.
you so that you can go to be a poll worker. Um,
Nice.
there will be, um, I foresee some transportation options for
Mm.
those that don't have a ride to the polls. We have seen where Uber will take you, but I've heard they don't bring you back. So I don't know.
Okay. You on your own once you get there, huh?
Yeah, but we make sure you get there.
That's
So,
the important part. You got to
yeah.
get there and vote. All
So I
right.
think there will definitely be a push for transportation, and there
Uh-huh.
will be aware that someone outside of your family should not really be handling your ballot, dropping it
Mm.
into the box. There's some limitations
Oh,
on those type of things as well. But I
okay.
do want to encourage you, if you know someone that's being held in municipal jail in our county,
Mm.
local jails,
Okay.
that is not being held on a felony, but is there on a misdemeanor, they can vote by absentee ballot. So we want to make sure
Mm.
that, because they're very important and judges are important to the individuals that are
Mm-hmm.
a part of the criminal justice
Ooh.
system.
Uh-oh.
Those are things that you can't request an absentee ballot. If you know you're going to be
Mm.
there between October 8th and November, so, you
So,
know,
yeah.
request an absentee ballot. You still get to vote.
Okay. Okay. So now she just dropped a whole nother gem. And the big one here is don't let anything get in the way of you and your vote, right?
Absolutely.
Even jail. So she said if it's not a felony,
Can't
yeah.
vote if you're being held in Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction, because
Mm.
on a felony. But once you're released, you can
Mm.
register and you can vote. So it does not matter if you have been convicted of a felony. If you are out on the street, you can register and you can vote.
So hold on, Judge. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to go back about 17 seconds, and I need you to state that part again so that everyone that's in that particular situation completely understands. Their family members, their friends, their cousins can say, "You can go vote." So could you break that down for us one more time?
Even if you have been convicted of a felony, if you
Mm-hmm.
are not incarcerated at ODRC or
Mm-hmm.
any other confinement for a felony, you can vote. So you probably need to go and make sure that you register and that your address matches your state ID and those things, but you can vote. We are one of the states that does not disenfranchise you as
Mm.
a felon once you are out of prison. There are a few states that do. I think there are 11 of them, but we are
Mm.
one of them. So make sure that you do not dissuade people from voting because they have a felony conviction. And judges are important to men and women that are involved in the justice system, whether you're going to family court because of a domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
or you're going to municipal court, wherever you're going, judges are important to you. And it's important that you know something about them before you have a loved one standing in front of them.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Powerful, powerful knowledge and gems being dropped, y'all. All right. So, Judge, we're down to the last few minutes. I want to make sure that there's nothing that we missed that you actually wanted to convey. So, I want to actually open it up to you. Is there anything else that you have on your mind that you were prepping for before the show said, I have to make sure I drop this information? I want to turn it over to you.
Well, as we're thinking about who we want to vote for, we want to think
Mm-hmm.
about how the individual that's in the White House is going to try to bring policies into effect that will benefit us. Affordable housing is critical, especially here in Columbus. So the Biden administration has announced some policies to address the strain. There's $100 million in funding for a program to incentivize affordable housing production and streamlining loan application processes to expedite building of more housing. So there are some proposals to cap rent increases for corporate landlords and those type of things. I don't know if those will make it through, but you know that these are things that affect us. The interest
Absolutely.
rates, where are we going to live? We have a housing shortage here in Columbus and it's driving prices, and we don't have caps on rent increases here. So these are things that we need to think about, and we definitely need to think about our future. When we're thinking about what justices we want to elect to the Supreme Court, in the event that someone files a contempt for the funding of schools, who's going to be the justices at the Supreme Court? Who hears that? Who's going to be there when we bring in citizens, not politicians, to end gerrymandering or redistricting issues? Those are going to be critical. Who's going to be there to hear the we have a perfect case here. We have an injunction that was granted by a judge that would prevent the 24-hour wait period for abortions. We don't know who's going to hear those cases. All of those are going to be critical because Black women are dying 3-to-1 in childbirth. Now, so I have to kind of step back on that. We're fighting for abortion, but I also would like to see them fight for health care that is equitable, that is where everyone is treated the same by the doctors. And, we have to look at all of these things. Where's the diversity, equity, and inclusion policies going to go? No, we had several $1 billion in scholarships that were tied up because some of them were earmarked for minorities. So, I'm just an old country girl that looks at the facts. Growing up in West Virginia, I grew up in segregated schools, understand the impact of not having that funding and who's most likely to be impacted by not being able to attend college. When you have over 74% of men and women that are incarcerated in ODRC because they don't have a GED or a high school diploma. All of these, education is essential to our success. So we want to make sure that we have that's going to invest. And we know that the Biden administration has invested in HBCUs heavily. And so
billions.
we've seen this done. We know what they stand for, and education is essential to marginalized communities. So, in other words, get up, get out, and vote. Your vote is your voice.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. She couldn't have said it any better. And if I know I've been doing gem drops, but I need to do this. It was a mic drop too. All right. So, oh my goodness, that was it right there. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Judge Terri Jamison for joining us on ColumbusBlack.com's Countdown to Election Day 2024.
Kevin, I just don't, we had a short time today.
Yeah. We might have to have you back before the election. We still got a number of weeks because something tells me there's a little bit more in there, but she just dropped it, y'all. So listen, I know that you're super busy. You have a lot going on and another call coming up, so we're going to let you go. But I just want to personally say thank you so much for taking the time and dropping so many gems.
Thank you so much for having me. And Columbus, get out there and vote, especially Columbus Black.
There we go. You got it. Thank you, Judge Jamison. Have a great one. We appreciate you. All right, y'all. That's how you got it. That's how we do it, y'all. We're right here, ColumbusBlack.com. This is the countdown to Election Day. Y'all just heard it from Judge Terri Jamison. She dropped it. Come on, y'all, for real. I said it earlier. If you hear it, you need to share it. And there is some knowledge and some gems that need to be dropped and shared across your entire network. So please hit the button and let's get out there. Let's go vote. Remember, she said that's your voice. Your vote is your voice. All right, listen, we're going to wrap up. I want to thank Venture Suite. Y'all see him behind me, right? VentureSuite.co, one of our sponsors. Y'all can go to the website. If you need a place to work out of or you need to rent an amazingly beautiful space, go to VentureSuite.co and you can check it out, get the details there, and you can book it out, whether it's for business or it's for social event and activity. Make sure if you have not downloaded the Mile app, go to MYLE. If you're looking for things to do, places to go, food to eat, or if you're an event host and you want to post, promote, or sell tickets to your events, you can do that right through the Mile platform. That's right, mile.com, MYLE.com. And if you want an upgraded experience, download the app. That's when it gets real slick, y'all. It's got all the super cool features. But check it out, Black owned. That's right. We love it. Remember, make your life entertaining. That's what we do. Just mile it. All right, so listen, we're going to wrap up as we normally do. Go check us out at ColumbusBlack.com. And remember, if you want to be more successful in your future, you need to understand a little bit more about your past. That's the reason why we just had Judge Terri Jamison on ColumbusBlack.com, and it was a blast. With that being said,